Hello and welcome to another episode of TesterSpeak Season 2 with your host Brajesh Deb. And you're watching this on the Test Chat YouTube channel. Well, when we started the Test Chat journey, there were a few people who joined very early and have been around for some time now and have been sharing their knowledge and trying to do their bit for the community every now and then. And sharing their knowledge, sharing their experience, sharing the joy. So I thought, let me call somebody who is a part of the test chat community for a long time, in fact right from the beginning, and has been quite vocal in expressing his thoughts, has been quite vocal in terms of sharing his knowledge, has been instrumental in motivating a lot of us in trying to do different things. He's also done a webinar with the test chat community and is contributing in his very little way, which is quite inspiring for a lot of other people. He is an expert in testing of desktop applications. That's where he specializes. And I thought it'll be a totally different perspective talking to him. So without any further delay, let me call upon today's guest, Sunny Bhatia. Welcome, Sunny.
Hi, Brajesh. Thank you. Thank you for calling me. And I'm deeply honored that you thought of me. And thank you for inviting me to this session.
Oh, well, Sunny, the pleasure is entirely mine. You have been a part of the test chat community for right from the beginning, like I said, and I should have called you much sooner. Okay, but then the way things happened, you've been, always been there, behind the scenes, inspiring people, doing a lot of cool stuff. So, I I finally had to call you. So, you know, that,
It's
that's what I would like to see in the community, that people keep sharing and keep pushing and make a strong case that, hey, we want to be on TesterSpeak. We should be there on TesterSpeak. That's
yeah.
but jokes apart, I mean, I am really you spoke about honor and privilege, and I think it's an honor and privilege for me to be talking to you right now, because initially when we started test chat and there were a lot of conversations going on from the very early days, you impressed us all with your technical knowledge, with the ability to immediately jump on and try and help people get solutions. And I think that is a very important quality as we go along in our careers, to be able to help people with the knowledge that you have, and then also learn alongside it. I think that's an incredible quality, and I am really thankful to you for sharing your knowledge, for providing solutions, for helping us out at times when we've needed. So kudos to you, brother. I mean, this is
Thank, thank you. Thank you.
all right. Let's get a little into the details of your journey. So how did you get started with testing, Sunny?
Okay. So I'll start from the beginning. Like, I did my schooling, then I did my college, and like I passed out in the year of 2009. At that time, there was a recession in the market. So
Mhm.
there were no job openings, nothing was there in the market. So simply, I was hopeless. Now, where should I go after doing my engineering? Where should I apply my knowledge? So I just hear about the MCAT. It is one of the organization that conducts a test for the MNCs. So it was conducting a test for the MNC, one of the MNC in India, that is HCL. So I went for their offline test in Noida, and to my surprise, I got selected in that. I got a very good marks, and I got a call from the HCL that you have cleared the round. Now you have been called for the further rounds over here, technical rounds and HR. So I was actually overjoyed, like I got the job, and I don't want to lose this opportunity. So I immediately packed my bags and left within one day for just for to Noida from Jaipur. So from there I went. I was not sure where I will stay, where I will go. I was not sure. Simply from that terminal, I simply went to the uh, organization HCL, that's sector 125 in Noida. I simply went over there and asked, okay, what is the procedure? So they tell me that you have to come by this time, by this 12 p.m. You have to come over there. I reach around 9 a.m. in the morning. So okay, now I got some buffer. So at least I should get ready and be in the position. So I went to one of the nearby hotel, I took a room and get up dressed, and then I went over there. So journey started from there. It was all good. In the HCL, finally I went. I saw big MNC, big rooms, big workstation areas. I was overjoyed. Oh wow, it looks so cool. It was my first experience actually. So from there, I started learning a lot of things. I was deployed in, finally I got selected after clearing all the technical rounds and the HR round. The GD also happened over there. After clearing the GD, then personal interview, and finally I got selected. So I was offered a position for software engineer. I was surprised. I was overjoyed. Oh, finally I got the job. I I informed my family members, and they were so happy. So finally, I got my joining in 2009 itself, in the month of around I don't remember, September or October, and I passed out in July. So finally, I got the job. Then I started my journey from the HCL. So my first project, immediately I was not deployed to any project. I was given the opportunities like in which stream you have to go. You have to go to C, C++, C sharp. Java was not there at that time. So only these three options were there, and accordingly I have to choose. So if I pick C or C++, I can go to an Android developer.
Mhm.
If I pick C sharp, I can go to this development field of .NET, or I can become a tester also. So I was having a little bit not a working knowledge, but a knowledge of C sharp. So I took the C sharp and I got one of the development project. So when I started working in this project, I came to know that I was not doing the development. I will be given some task of initially it was around automating some of the things like uh, WCF services. I was not aware about that. So my manager immediately says, you have to work this task. You have to automate this WCF services. मैंने कहा, wow, what is this? So I thought that what is this? I started realizing, okay, it is not so easy. I have to work little bit on this and I have to get on this. Then I'll start working. So I started reading about WCF services. Then I get to know, okay, these way the services communicate. These are the endpoints. Okay, something like that. Then my manager started giving me a task. Okay, you have to automate this now. Today, this service you have to automate. You have to get the data from this, and you have to analyze it, and you have to report it back. So it was all kind of automation. So I was not aware about this is actually an automation I'm doing. He was simply saying that you have to do this task. So I thought this is a development task,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
getting something, calculating over it, analyzing it, and finally returning it back.
Yeah.
So from there, I started learning. I came to know a lot of things in that WCF services, then automation through desktop application also. I was not having any experience on that. It was all new to me, and I was keep on struggling in that. In fact, I failed sometimes, like in doing the work. So my manager scolded me. He told me why you're not performing well. I simply said, man, sir, I'm not able to get these things. I need some little bit of time in order to be at the position to do this work. So maybe I can do some kind of a research work if you can allow me. I'll start working, because if you directly put me on the job and okay, I can do a learning on the job, but right now it is difficult for me. I need some time to ramp up myself. So he initially agreed. Then moving on, he also started giving me some task on that. And from there, I started learning automation. I realizing that actually I am actually doing testing. of the WCF services. They're actually being developed by the developers, and I'm just consuming that services. So from there, I started into the testing field. I don't know how it happened, but just it happened.
I think that's quite interesting. And, for somebody to be put in who's fresh out of college, who probably has studied a little bit of, C, C++, these days Java in college, and has learned about web applications, maybe developed one of them in their final year projects or something like that. And then all of a sudden coming and start working with WCF services is really an interesting thing. So, especially talking about um, desktop applications. Now, that's an area I know that you specialize in. And through this interview, I would like to also enlighten a few of our friends in the testing industry, because there is a lot of focus on web applications, right? Uh, you know,
Right.
and more so because internet connectivity. So obviously, you want to have a web application, you want to have a mobile version of that, and that's a mobile app maybe. And then you want to focus your testing primarily on web applications and these mobile applications. But since you've been doing this for quite some time, do you see scope for learning desktop automation? What is your perspective? Is there scope? Is it
Okay.
okay if I start learning now? Do I have potential in future?
Yeah, I think that desktop applications will never going to cease out completely. They will exist in parallel with the web applications, because sometimes in the many MNCs are still using that kind of a software which is just double click on the exe icons in the desktop, and then they start the application and they start using it. And in the backend, actually APIs are working and they're just communicating the data. So I think that desktop applications will going to exist and will keep on existing. So it's better to learn desktop application also, automation of desktop applications along with web applications. Like web applications will always remain on higher side, but desktop will never going to end. They will keep on continuing. In fact, in the HCL, when I started learning this, I realized that I was actually just playing with the Windows form over there.
Mm-hmm.
There was one Windows form, kind of a Windows dialog in which some buttons were there. I need to just for manually verification, I need to click on one button. The URL will be auto populated. Then the endpoints will be displayed. Some data will be displayed over there. Then I change some data and another hit on another button. Then it pushes the data to the server and then gives me result back. So I just realized that it was not a web application. It was something like which I'm running on my desktop.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all a Windows form.
Yeah.
So from there, actually, my desktop application journey started. So I realized that this is something new. This is something new to me, which I haven't learned in the college also, because I also worked on the web applications in the college, not in the desktop side, but only in the website. I used to develop forms over there for the project purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
In colleges, generally, when they talk about final year projects, it is 90% of the times, even more. In fact, 98% of the times, it is a web application that you are actually working on. Okay. Very rarely do you get an opportunity to work on a desktop application. Now,
right,
one of the most uh, widely used, most popular desktop applications back in the day used to be WinZip, if you remember.
yeah, right,
And when I began, testing, WinZip had just been launched around that time, or a little later, maybe. I don't remember, but there was a time when people would come and say, "Okay, how do I learn testing?" And I used to tell them, "Go and test WinZip." Go and test WinZip, and WinZip was there on everybody's desktop. So it was easily accessible, easily available. But then there were a few tips and tricks, and there was a big, mm, how do I put it? Uh, I won't say it was it was a mistake or something like that from the people who made WinZip, but it always came with a 7-day trial notice. You know, it would, when you launch it, it would say, okay, you are in a 7-day trial period, and all the features were available. And after the 7 days expire, then also all the features were available. So it never actually made a difference. I do not recall having ever paid for WinZip. Never ever. I always saw it with that 7 days trial notice. And it was always like that. And it was quite interesting to me. I reported it to the WinZip guys and they didn't do anything about it. I was like, okay, if they don't care as a
Right.
tester, why should I bother so much? I noticed that this was a problem and I pointed it out. Maybe it was their business strategy, and maybe they wanted to leave it like that. That okay, we have a paid version also. So some people might have just panicked and said, okay, give me the paid version. And the paid version doesn't do anything, it just removes that banner. That's it. Because all the features are anyways available in the free version. Okay, so you just remove the banner, make it paid, and then sell it again. Okay, so quite funny. And those are my earliest impressions of desktop applications. And I was quite impressed. Now, another thing is, desktop applications, you have printer software. Okay. And
Right.
and all other different kinds of software that is installed locally on your system, and you can test it and play around. So my question is, when you get a Windows application to test, from where do you start testing? How do you get started? What is the starting point?
Okay. Like, first of all, now this has become my mindset. Earlier it was not like that. Simply used to take the application and start jumping testing on it. Now I realize that it is not so good to directly start testing on it. First of all, take the prerequisites that is required to install that software. So are we having a suitable operating system for that?
Right,
Are we having a proper prerequisites for that?
right.
And after that, start installing the software. So even before installing the prerequisites, simply install the software. You will get some kind of errors. You will
Mhm.
simply get some notification, these components are missing or these components are missing. So by this you will get to know, okay, actually this software requires these prerequisites.
Mhm.
So
Right.
this also gives you a clear indication that you need to install these prerequisites, and these, if this information is missing in the documentation, you can simply inform them. You can simply inform to team that these prerequisites should also be mentioned in the documentation. So actually you are doing the testing from different direction also, different arenas also.
Correct.
So after realizing that, I came to know that prerequisites are important for that. After installing the prerequisites, start installing the software on the machine, and it should have the sufficient space also for
Right.
installing. And like, there are many scenarios I can think of around desktop applications, like just from the installation perspective. Like if it is interacting with the server initially, just to get the username or credentials and authorizing you, then you need a proper internet connection for that also. You cannot work in an offline mode.
Right.
And after that, if you say that it can work in an offline mode, it should work properly. No firewall, no antivirus is blocking that software to get installed on their machine.
Right.
So these kind of a stuff comes when you try to play with the desktop applications. So this is just from the installer perspective. In fact, when you try to install the software, you may get an error while installing. In between, like, you get, okay, now this has been rolled back again. Installation was happening 95 90% or 95%. It has already computed, and suddenly it rolled back. Oh
Right. Yes.
no.
Yes.
That I realized that scenarios in my career where I was actually installing took around 30 to 40 minutes, and then I saw it got rolled back. I, I was confused why it happened, and simply it gave me some hex code on the screen that this is the error. Now
Yeah.
what should I do with that error?
Yeah.
What should I do with that hex code? It is 0x something, and some in caps some words are written. So it was all not clear, like how should I do about that. So later on I realized that these are the things we can improve in the software. At least we can give a clear message to the end user that this has been done because of this issue.
Correct.
So try to fix this. Simply saying that this the installation is now been rolled back and this is the error code. What should I do with this? I don't know.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting because we've seen that, and just going with installations. Okay, you have for a lot of these applications, you have a UI installer where you click next, 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 and it gets installed. You
Right.
also have CLI installer where from the command prompt you can just run that exe and it installs without the GUI. I mean, I don't know. I, I I had heard the term silent installation. Probably that is what it means, or it means something else, that you're pushing it from a server and it is installing on your particular machine. If it is connected to a particular server, that somebody runs the installation from the server and it installs on your machine. Now there are these multiple scenarios just around installation, and it's quite fun to test that, and situation that you spoke about, it was so frustrating to see it getting installed up to 95%, sometimes 99%, and then
Right.
okay, it's rolling back, and then you get that stupid hex code which you do not know what it is, and you check that even in Google, and Google's is no big deal. It's just an hex code. You know, it's
Yeah.
something which is unique to that particular product, and you know, and you are wondering from where do I access the logs so that I can see what has gone wrong. So you look for installer logs and things like that, and then probably if you're able to debug, then it's good. Otherwise, you leave it to the developers to
Yeah. Right.
fix it. So yeah, now what challenges have you seen in terms of actually learning, desktop application testing? What are the challenges
Okay.
you faced?
Okay. I'll say challenges are quite different from web application. Like one such challenge is web applications always keeps on running. They are in the cloud. Always keeps on running. So you're not bothered about that. But in actual, when you install the desktop application, you have to worry about your system also. Like, is your system in a working condition or not, so that it can actually run your application.
Right.
It should have a proper space, proper memory, sufficient memory is there to run the software. So the challenges which I face, like sometimes I'm doing kind of a stuff in my software. I'm doing some work in my desktop application, and suddenly I saw that my system become hang. So why it become hang? I just realized that some disk space is full in the backend.
Mhm.
It was keep on generating so many logs, and because of that, the C drive got full. And initially, we cannot configure it like where to put our logs. By default, it goes to the C drive directory in some hidden locations,
Right.
so that we can get to know from the developer only. So later on, I realized that why it is my system became actually hang all the time when I do something big operations in the application. So then I asked the team, okay, what was actually happening in the behind? Like when I'm doing this task, what all things are going over there? So then the team explained to me that these kind of a stuff happens in the behind. We keep on generating the logs. We keep on logging each and everything, each and action that you perform. So this can make a log quite heavy. In fact, I have seen a few files of simply a text files around 2 GB of 2 GB of size. And it was very difficult to open that 2 GB simply in Notepad.
Right. You
So
cannot.
we need some other applications, other softwares to install to open that log files.
Correct.
So the challenges like in the desktop applications, apart from this disk space, memory utilization, other challenges are if the internet connection is not there and the server software requires some internet connection in the behind, then it will not process your request. Even if you click on one button, it will keep it will just process it, but it will not show anything on your screen.
Right.
And Also no error message, no success message. What is happened? I don't know. I simply clicked, the wheel around the mouse rotates and simply stops. Okay, what happened? I don't know. I didn't get to the next flow, next screen. So maybe I'm missing the internet connection, or my internet bandwidth is not proper, or my the request which I'm able to make to the server are not going in the proper direction. Maybe I'm missing some proxy. I need some VPN for that connection. So these kind of challenges I generally face while testing the desktop applications. These are from the manual perspective. From the automation perspective, there are quite other challenges. Like sometimes uh, I'm installing able to install the software manually. That is working fine. But when I try to install the software through automation script, it is not installing. It is not actually even launching the exe to just start and click on the next. If I'm going through the GUI, or if it is going through a silent installer, it is not happening actually. So
Yeah.
other challenges keeps on coming from that automation perspectives also. So whichever like what looks simpler in doing the manual way is not simpler in doing the automation. So
So,
you have
so
to yeah.
sorry, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just saying that you have to analyze, you have to see why this is not happening, and why this is happening in this way only. So just after debugging I came to know about this such things.
Okay. So my question is, if I have to learn, you know, testing of desktop applications, how do I go about it?
Okay, say okay, take one application which can be installed, take any software which can be installed on your machine. Maybe it's an Adobe reader or a 7-zip reader, or I can say any software, any executable. Just try to install it on a fresh machine, fresh Windows VM, I can say, which is not having anything installed on that. So take one VM, just a fresh, like once you get a new laptop, it's just a new brand, and nothing is installed on that. Nothing, no .NET libraries, nothing prerequisites. So simply take that kind of a VM, install that VM on your machine, or maybe get something from your department, IT department, and set it up somewhere, and just took the exe over there, MSI over there, and install it. From there you will get to know, okay, these components are missing, these things are missing, these prerequisites should be there. Maybe this software is not supported on this OS level, on this bitness machine. Maybe you need a 64-bit software or an 86-bit software for that. So from there you can start, at least try the hands-on installation. And once that you are able to cross that phase, now you go on to next phase by like, now the application is installed, now try to launch it. So launching of the application is another different story. So many scenarios can be revolve around that launching also.
Yeah.
So in this way you will start exploring at least new things in that. First one is the prerequisites, then the installation, then the launching, and finally the working execution of the software, and you
Mm.
are playing with it. So in this way at least you can start trying the desktop applications, and once you try it manually, then think about it, how can I automate it, how can I make things simpler.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's quite interesting. Now, if I am doing a lot of web application testing and I'm bored doing web application testing, do you recommend me switching over to testing desktop applications?
Yeah, it's I can say it's not a recommendation that you're bored of web application, try to switch to desktop. Like, you can try with it, you can play with it, but it's all part of your job. If you get a responsibility that you have to test web, you have to test web. If you have to test a desktop, you have to test a desktop. There is no choice, because client is using that software, your company, your organization, your team is using that kind of environment. So you have to in that environment you have to test it. So it's not maybe you can think of like, if you are actually bored of doing one particular task all the time, then you can try another things, new things. But
No, I'll tell you the context to the question. Okay, so
okay,
I get a lot of questions from these testers, and they say that they want to do something different. Okay, and when you ask them, why do you ask if you want to do something different, and what is it that they can do differently? Then they will tell me, and they have told me in a lot of instances that they have been, testing web applications, and they've learned Selenium, and you know, they've gone ahead and done Selenium with Java, Selenium with Python, Selenium with Ruby, and all those things. They start with Selenium, and they say, of late we have gone into API testing, we've gone into end-to-end testing. We are looking at the low code, no code solutions these days and trying to test with that. But I don't see any future in testing. Okay. And that is that perspective that is coming. And then they ask me, what is it that they can do differently? So I said, okay. And to a lot of people, I have actually gone ahead and said, try to test different kind of applications, because it is one type of application that you are trying to test and you have built your expertise on. How about expanding your skill set and try and automate, maybe, or maybe test some desktop application. What it will do is it will add to your portfolio.
right.
Okay, and like we discussed earlier, for testing desktop applications, you don't have to, you know, you don't have to do anything super special. You have a laptop, you have a machine at your disposal. You will by default have at least one or two desktop applications installed on your machine. For example, the 7-zip reader you said, or the Adobe reader you said. You can start testing that. You don't have to, wait for somebody's permission to do that, is what is my feeling. So I was just trying to get your perspective on that. Do you think it's a good idea for people to try that?
Yeah, uh, obviously, yeah, this is a good idea. And I also agreed with your point, like you said, people see that there is no future of testing while testing a net kind of web application. They realize that it is all end. Now I cannot go in further in the testing in that. So it is actually not end. This is actually a one part, as you already mentioned, that this is actually a one area. There are many other areas in the testing which we can explore. And testing is also not about just checking the things that they are working fine. It is all about, I can, from my career I realized that it is all about mindset of the end customer, how you actually use that applications, how you use that softwares, maybe it's a web or a desktop, and what is your mindset in using that,
Right.
how you approach that, how you use that, what kind of a result you are expecting from that software.
Right.
Like if you're doing any kind of action, what are you expecting in return? Because in your mind you have something which you are expecting, like if I do this activity, I'll get something out of this and I'll get in return out of it. And if you're getting that, then that is a positive side. And if you're not getting that, it results in an error or a failure, means it is not working as per your expectations.
Mm.
So obviously that doing the web application testing and you are getting bored out of it, try something new, try to do some other kind of a testing, maybe in a desktop or in an API or in a performance load. There are many things we can cover in the testing area.
Right.
In I realized that even in our daily life, we are every day doing testing. Every day we are doing testing.
There you go. Yeah.
So even if I'm just riding a car, I know how to press the clutch. I know how to press the brake. I know how to press the accelerator. I know how to turn off my wheel drive. So every day I'm just checking and I'm just keep on exploring that. I'm just and now I'm familiar with that. Even I'm becoming familiar with that. I still on keep on checking. It is working fine or not. It is working as per my expectation till now or not. So every day, everything I'm testing. Even everybody does testing all the time.
Very well said. Very well said. When you are using a mobile phone, classic example,
Right.
and you see that, maybe you're using WhatsApp and you are trying to download an image. and it doesn't download. So what do? You try different options, right? Turning off the network, turning it back on,
Right,
trying to see if it's still downloading after that, switching from a Wi-Fi to mobile network or mobile
right,
network to Wi-Fi. You try different things, and
right,
you do all of this as a part of uh, a procedure which you don't realize is basically testing, right? So
right.
very well said, Sunny. I really like that response. Now, you've been testing for 12 years now. So you've seen the testing industry evolve and things have changed. And so, what advice would you give to somebody who wants to get into a testing career now?
Okay. So I'll say that don't just see testing as as any other area as like you are not comparing testing with the development. Don't compare. Don't ever compare. Development is different. Testing is different. Earlier, the testing was not included in part of project deliveries. Like developers did the development and they simply test it at their end and deliver the software. So from there, the problem keeps arising. Like the customer are facing many issues in using that software. Why? Because it has not been tested properly. So later on, it was realized, the many industry veterans realized that we need the testing also as a part of offerings. We cannot simply undermine that, and we simply cannot deliver the software without being tested at our end. So we need a proper team at our end also to do that kind of a testing in order to deliver it properly so that customer faces less issues. So if you wanted to get into a testing, first of all, get into the mindset of the end customer. Simply things from the end customer perspective, how I'm going to use the software. It is not about how you're going to build that software. It's simply about consumption of the software, how you're going to use it, what benefits will it going to serve you. So think of that perspective, think of that mindset, and then enter into the testing field, because testing is all about the mindset of the customer. If you think from the customer perspective, if you think like you will be using this software in this terms, in these means, and in this environment, then somehow you are doing the and testing which is being done at the customer end,
Right.
because customer is also like a human, is like us. So but his mindset is actually different. He has he has built that mindset from his stakeholders. He
Correct.
wants that, he has realized that dream, like I wanted to build this kind of a software and it should serve this purpose, it should do these things. And if you can realize that vision of the customer, then you are good in a very testing.
Right. Right. I think that's a very good advice for people who want to start building their testing careers. But what advice do you have for testers who have been testing for quite some time now, say 8 years, 10 years, and they are like, oh no, I don't see any future in testing.
Okay.
What
Yeah,
what advice do you have for them?
that's interesting. So like I can say, first of all, analyze yourself, where you are right now and what are you doing right now. If you're doing only one type of testing, maybe say automation testing along with functional testing, so now try to keep on exploring other things, maybe backend, go in the backend and realize that some APIs will be there. So try to go into that direction, maybe API testing. And if you're going to API, now try to think of load testing on the APIs. So
Right.
that will enter into a new arena of the performance testing. So you
Correct.
can think of that. And if you are playing with the APIs also, you can think that some data will be passed in those APIs. So is the data securely being passed? So you can enter into the security testing from that direction. So this is just one example. I can relate to it. There are many other examples, like accessibility testing is also there.
Mhm.
UI testing is there. Just think how you can make things simpler for everyone else. Like if I'm going to use this software, I need to click multiple times in order to get this work done. Can I make this simpler? Maybe I don't have any proper solution in my mind, but can I suggest something which will make the workflow easier? Maybe combine 2 to 3 steps into one step and then moving on. So in this way, you will be able to guide, you will be able to mentor, you will be able to suggest the solutions, and gradually you will see that you have moved far from the that one mindset to different mindset, and now you are growing actually.
Right, 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 right. No, I think that's really good that you say that. That's really good piece of advice for testers who are somehow not seeing a future in testing, which I find a little weird when people tell me that there is no future in testing. It somehow tells me that people are not investing enough time in actually trying to see what the opportunities are. Well, it seems like uh, the geese outside my house are having a party. I don't know if you can hear that in the background, but there's a big party going on. There is about uh, 6 or 7 geese
Okay.
who live right next to my house, and there's a canal, and that's where they live. So it's early morning party time for them, breakfast time. So and it's so funny that sometimes they are standing on the road and people have to wait. Okay, they don't respond to horns or anything like that. They just keep standing there until they move out. The entire traffic is blocked because of them. So it's as if they are on some kind of a protest. Not move until our demands are met. And it gets really funny because you do whatever, you try to clap, you try to shove them away, they don't move. Just keep standing there. Okay, it's like ignoring whatever you're trying to tell them. Anyways, so we've been talking for quite some time now, so let's try to do something different. Let's get into the rapid fire round, and just to uh, bit you.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt you, Brijesh. Like I got one beautiful point out of a conversation. You mentioned about that geese example. Like they are just doing a kind of a protest. Meet our demands, then we're going to release from everything. So I think that's a very good point. Having that kind of attitude in your career, like keep on sticking to your demands. Like demands not means in terms of something else, in terms of your career. Like just keep on working on yourself, and keep on exploring, and keep your leveraging your skills, your knowledge, until you get to some point and you will realize that you have moved very far away from that small hole to a big giant man kind of a stuff. So you realize that if you keep on working on your skills, if you keep on polishing them every day, even if you even if from your daily schedule, if you can just find out maybe 1 or 2 hours for your work that you wanted to do, you will realize that you are doing actually very good in that, in your life, and you will be happy that actually you are doing something for you apart from your daily duties which you have to do. You are doing something extra for yourself also. So that's also an advice for the all the members, all the upcoming um leaders in the organization, like whosoever is entering or whosoever is working in the organization or in the industry, that keep on working, don't stop. You will realize that you are actually at somewhere where nobody can beat you if you keep on polishing your skills. If you, like, in this way you will keep on working, and you will realize that until my demand is met. My demand means I wanted to get this knowledge, I wanted to get this know-how, I wanted to polish this skill. Until and unless I get it, I will not stop. I will keep on working, keep on working.
That is such a beautiful point, Sunny. Thank you so much, and
Thanks
thank.
to you. Thanks to you,
I
and thanks to Geet.
I will try and see if I can get a picture of those guys once the interview is done, if they are still standing there.
Okay.
They are, because that's exactly where they live. They just live. So they've built. It's not exactly a nest, but that's right next to the canal is where they find a spot and they rest through the night, and then in the morning their party starts again. So that's where they are. But that is a beautiful point, and I want to say something on that point, and that is that a lot of people I have been meeting of late, they have this kind of an attitude, but it is not in terms of knowledge. It is in terms of money. Okay. And, you know, it is my perspective. Maybe you have a different thought, but I think knowledge can get you the money, but that money will never get you that knowledge if you miss that. Okay,
Right.
it may get you that knowledge. I mean, in the long run, it will take a long time, but that knowledge will definitely get you the money. So focus on the knowledge and not on the money, is what I would say. So just to add to what you said, until your demands are met in terms of your knowledge, keep sticking to it. Find that extra hour in your schedule, hour, 2 hours, whatever you can give. 15 minutes. It's okay if you are able to take out 15 minutes of your time and read something and try and learn what it is, and try and think about it, try and discuss about it. Okay, go to a community, talk, invest 15 minutes of your time in the test chat, read through the discussion that is going on, put your comment, go on LinkedIn, go on Twitter, look at what the other testers are talking about. There is so much great content, and a lot of testers who were of course, Twitter is a hub for all the testers. That's where most of the testers in the world reside and discussions happen. But now, thankfully, due to some of the changes that LinkedIn has made, a lot of testers are coming on LinkedIn as well. Interact with them, get connected, try and learn, ask them questions. They will definitely help you answer.
Right.
Find answers to those questions. Get involved. Get involved in communities. Involved in discussions. You have the test chat. You have the test tribe. You have Ministry of Testing. You have so many communities around you. Find one. I'm not. Although this is for the test chat channel, I'm not saying that this is the only community that you should be following. You may choose your own community. You may start your own community. Doesn't matter. But find a spot where you can share.
Right.
So that's what I would say. And thank you, Sunny, for that beautiful point that you made. Um, it's really nice to see this advice coming from you. I'm sure that people who watch this episode will take this away, and they will at least think for a bit. Am I doing this, or do I need to do this? And if you're not doing this yet, finding that hour, finding those few precious minutes to learn and grow, start doing it now. It's never too late. Well, on that note, I want to go to my rapid fire round.
Yeah.
The rules are very simple. You get 5 seconds to answer a question,
Okay.
and if and if um, it's a multiple choice question, then you will have to explain why you've chosen that particular. And
Okay.
okay, so I know that you're from Rajasthan. So being from Rajasthan, what's your favorite food?
Dal bati churma.
I love it too. I love it. So, uh, I mean, most people would know that I was born in Rajasthan. So, uh, and I am a foodie, so I like to try food from every part of the world, especially every part of India. Now, in the West, that is, Europe, US, or outside India, the impression of Indian cuisine is chicken tikka masala. Okay,
Oh, wow.
that's the impression of Indian cuisine. But Indian cuisine is much wider, much bigger than that. You know, they say that in India, every 50 kilometers you travel, the cuisine changes, the look changes, and the language changes.
Yes.
So India being such a big country, you can imagine how many types of food will be available. And dal bati churma definitely is one of my favorite. And you know, and I also like gatte ki sabzi, which is also popular in Rajasthan.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I can talk about food all day. If there is a conversation going on food, and they're talking about cuisine and food from different parts of the world, different parts of India, doesn't matter. I can jump in and I can keep on talking about it.
Even when I said dal bati churma, there were water in my mouth.
Yeah, something similar things happen with me as well. Okay, so assume that COVID is all gone. Okay,
Mm,
which is your, which is the first destination that you will go to?
okay, I'll pick some hill station.
Which one would that be?
Not a crowded one, maybe a far away from. I'll go to the northeast side because that's an very less crowded, very unexplored places are there in the northeast side. The
Mhm.
Seven Sisters, I can say, all the Seven Sisters of India. So there are many more places we can visit over there. There are many
Have
more
you
beautiful landscapes
have you
over
been
there.
to the Northeast? Have you been to the Northeast?
No, but my one of my friend went over there and he explained me over the. He actually saw falling stars from the sky at one place over there. It was all in the forest that he has to go. There was no roads. He allows to go by walk, and at one place in the night when he stayed over there, just under the tree, he saw continuously falling stars. They were
Well, you
continuously
get a,
falling.
you get a lot of those in Assam and Tripura, and those states have good amount of greenery, good amount of forest reserves. And of course Mizoram, Manipur. So Northeast is of course beautiful. I am from the Northeast, so I can talk very proudly about it. My roots are in Assam, so and I'm always proud of my heritage. Okay. Uh, some of the famous people from that region include somebody called Arnab Goswami also.
Right.
Arnab, probably the most hated journalist in India, but I just simply love him because he's he's made the state of Assam go on a global stage. When people dig his roots, they find Assam, and then people start researching about it. So that's quite interesting. And yes, of course, there are beautiful hill stations. Shillong, I don't know if it classifies as a hill station, but Shillong is a beautiful place. They call it the Scotland of the East in that region. They call it,
Okay.
or the Switzerland of the East, or something like that. But I think it's the Scotland of the East is what they call it, and it's very scenic, very beautiful. Then you can go to Meghalaya, which is, it rains a lot, so that's why it's very green. Uh, that the wettest place in India, it used to be Cherrapunji, but now it's Mausindram. Mausindram is also in Meghalaya, which is very close to Cherrapunji. And it gets a lot of rain, so it's green and it's cloud, and you are on top of the clouds, so there's a lot of fun. Yeah, I can again, going a little emotional about Northeast. I can go on, but that's a very good choice. Now, if you were to pick between the cities of Jaipur and Noida, which one would you pick?
In terms of,
Your choice, whatever.
okay, in terms of, I can say a living, a good cost of living. So I'll pick Jaipur.
Okay. And in other terms.
In other terms, also Jaipur. Like everything I can relate to. I went to Noida and then I came back to Jaipur also. In fact, I am from Jaipur. I realized that people over Delhi in the metro cities are just busy in their daily schedules. They are just keep on running, running, running. They have no time for their families, no time to even relax themselves, and no time to give relax to their souls, their bodies. They are just keep on doing the work continuously. They are doing the work. Even get some time for yourself, because I believe that the hardest thing we can do is to grow ourselves, is to spend time on ourselves. That the hardest thing I can believe that one can do,
Right.
because we can always satisfy the needs of other persons, other people, other communities, or maybe organization teams, but we don't get time for ourselves. And if we are not spending enough time for ourselves, we'll not going to continue as as fast as we can. So at least uh, in order to have a good cost of living, good amount of living, like when you go out to the office and you in the evening you came back home, you need some peace of mind. So
Right.
at least have that kind of environment, suitable environment with you, so that at least when you reach home you feel that, oh, now I'm safe. Now I'm safe and I'm not going to do anything now. I can relax, and from next day I'll start again.
Well, I wish people could actually say I'm not going to do anything now. That's a that's a very difficult thing to say, and this is a
In fact, I have practiced this kind of attitude, like uh, just for one day I keep my mobile phone switch off for every day. No calls. I keep on laptop switch off. No TV, no laptop, no screen time, no mobiles. Just with the family. And that used to be mostly with on Sundays or Saturdays.
that is a remarkable thing to do. So mm, with me, I keep my notifications, the notifications on my phone off for most part of the day. I switch on when I want to switch on, not that I keep it on and then based on every notification, my attention goes to my phone and I have to respond to messages. I feel like responding to WhatsApp jokes and then it starts and then come to Telegram and look at what is going on in the test chat community and then respond. No, I
Right.
generally keep it the other way around. I keep the notifications off. That's why some people get annoyed with me saying, "Hey, we sent you a message, you never responded," and when you responded, it was after like 5, 6, 7 hours. What's the point? We wanted a solution then, and so it happens sometimes, but that's the way you take control of your life rather than.
Right.
And you made a very good point about no screen time. I think that's the most difficult thing for me to do, at least. I mean, I still have screen time because I'm on the laptop. I'm trying to do something, you know, whether it is work or whether it is something personal or whether it is the test chat community. There is something which is always going on, and so it's a difficult thing to practice. But it's when you actually uh, take a break, when you shut your TV off, when you shut your laptop down, and when you just keep your phones in a corner, you find a lot of peace, which I completely agree with. I have done it and I have seen the benefits of it. I would like to do more often, but life has other plans for me. So
Right.
it's a very difficult thing, but it's sincerely a very good advice for people. So thank you for that rapid fire. Now coming back to um some more testing, and I want to ask you this: that in your experience, okay, have you ever felt that you as a tester are not being heard in your organization? And if you're not being heard in your organization, what did you do to make yourself heard?
Okay. Yeah, I have faced these situations many times in my early career days. Like if I start from my beginning, when I was in the MNC, uh, my opinions and my suggestions were not heard properly. So because I was not experienced at that level, so even if I'm saying something like this will not going to work in this direction, we have to think of someone else, we have to think of something else. So they are saying, many people used to told me that you cannot keep talking like this, you need to do whatever you have been asked to do. So don't raise your opinion, don't put your suggestion, simply do this work. So this has happened, and this has actually hurted me. And I realized that why they are saying like this. Maybe they have some other thing in their mind, maybe they have some other things, some other factors are there which are influencing them to speak like this. So later on I realized that everybody is important. In fact, every human being is important, and there is no reason to hate another human being. In fact, we can learn from every human being, every person in this world. We can learn something new which he is doing and which we are not doing, I am not doing.
Right.
So that kind of situations I have faced, and I try to get onto them. When I becoming mature in that, I try to ask the questions, why are you putting this point, why are you saying like this, what's in your mind, what is your mindset behind that. Then I started working on that mindset. Okay, you are saying like this, maybe you have a different opinion, I have a different opinion. I am not going to sit idle and say that this product is all okay to go in the production, because I can see a bug. And if you not resolve this failure, the customer will going to catch it, and definitely he will going to come back to us. So maybe in a more arrogant way or more a shouted way. So that will not be better. That will not be good.
Right.
So it's better to put opinions. It's better to always raise your voice. Never keep mum. Never keep quiet. Sometimes it's better to keep to if you are keeping if you're not talking something, it does not mean that you are mum or you are just stupid person. You are just observing the things, you are analyzing the things what's happening on over there. So just by doing that, you are doing just communication with your mind, with your inner mind, and with your peers. Like, okay, something is not favorable right now, it's not better to talk here right now. Maybe we can get onto one on one, and we can talk over there. Sometimes it's always I always practice, I always preach that if you wanted to scold your peers, if you wanted to tell the peers that you are not doing good, do not do it in front of everybody. Took a
Correct.
one-on-one call, and then say in terms of proper manner. Don't directly jump to it. Say in terms of maybe you can say in a other approach, in a better way, so that you can keep on improving on that front. If you directly say, they will get hurt, because I have faced this situation. So I realized that if you directly, if someone says directly to this words, these kind of statements, I will get hurt. So how that person will react if I say like this? So it's always you are learning from that experience, and I'm learning from that experience, and I'm applying that to my peers. So I'm not scolding anybody in front of everyone. I'm just take on one-on-one call and try to teach them, okay, maybe you are not doing something, you need to do something else. So tell me what you need to do something. How can we improve this? So in this way, uh, I try to get onto the mindset, like if a person just scolds me, why he scolded me? What
Right.
was in his mindset?
Right.
What he thinks at that time? And if I can get to the root cause, I will be able to solve it. And if it is in my hands, if I can solve that, and if it is not my hands, okay, then it's okay, let go with the flow.
Right. Right. Well, I think that's a very, very good input. I think that's a very good message. I think it is going to help a lot of people if they think like this. I I am particularly delighted that there is uh, somebody who who thinks in this positive way, because I also have a similar thought process. So it makes me particularly delighted to hear it from somebody else as well. Thank you so much, Sunny, for that one. Now, before I let you go, the final question that I have for you is, if Sunny was not a tester, what would he be doing?
If I was not a tester,
Yeah.
I will still be checking all the things. And I feel very blessed that I get into the testing field. I don't know by how, but I get into the testing field. And now later on 2 3 years down the line, I realize that I am into very a good field. I am not into development. At least I cannot write logic so much in that direction. But whatever the work I'm doing right now, I'm satisfied and I'm feeling very happy in that work. I feel I feel delighted when I do this kind of a work. So if I was not a tester, I will be doing something which will be for me. And if I am doing something for me, I will definitely give benefit to that to others. So if I was not a tester, I can say I will be a teacher.
Very
In
nice.
fact, I will be teaching something, some good values or some knowledge, giving the knowledge to someone else. And in fact, I'm just practicing right now. Apart from this career, I'm just teaching my friends. I'm just telling them, you can do this, you can do this. So teacher, I can say, is always a pratham guru. So I'm trying to, if I was not a tester, I will be a teacher.
It's quite interesting how you bring your organization's name in your answers. Anyways,
Good catch.
no, I was paying attention to what you were saying. So, anyways, that was a very good conversation, Sunny. Thank you so much for your time today. It was indeed a pleasure talking to you. I
Thank
mean,
you, Brajesh.
one of the best episodes of TesterSpeak I've done so far. Very heartfelt conversations, totally different subject. Desktop testing, not many people do it. If you are looking to expand your portfolio as testers in the industry, look at desktop testing, desktop application testing. It is one, I feel, unexplored area, because a lot of us get into web applications, mobile applications. Of course, there are plenty of those web applications and mobile applications, because companies do have websites and companies do have mobile applications. So we understand that. At the same time, this is one more area where the potential has always been there. You use a laptop, you use a desktop. There will be applications on your laptop or on your desktop which will require testing. I mean, and if you look at certain banking applications, certain applications in the healthcare industry, they do not need to be connected to the internet or have a web interface or something like that.
Right.
So industry specific applications are there, which are desktop applications. I was working for a company which manufactures semiconductor wafers, thin wafers, which are used in your computer chips and stuff like that. And the entire manufacturing unit was controlled by a desktop application. In that system. So that had a very complex thing going on in a particular machine, and the entire machine was controlled by this desktop application. As one engineer who had to sit and monitor the whole process and control the whole thing. So testing that application itself was a challenge, but people try to do it, and then now there's a team of experts who is still trying to automate and trying to see if it works the way it should. So yeah, there are industry specific solutions which will need attention, and that's why you can pay attention as testers. Thank you, Sunny. It was a really delightful experience talking to you. I have thoroughly enjoyed this.
Thank you, Brajesh. Pleasure was all mine. And it's all mine. Like, I feel honored to be part of this show. I feel delighted to be part of this show.
Thank you so much, Sunny. I will see you around in the test chat community. Don't
Yeah,
forget to join us this evening for the Hindi Day event.
sure.
It's going to be a lot of fun. All right. See you there.
Okay.
Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.